breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Blue Bell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi, my name is Ruben, and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. Go to nmfafsa.org. That's nmfafsa.org.
Right here for the Seawood Cougars, and that one is denied.
Off the front iron, rebound Diabate. Another chance for Adams, and he hits it.
Trying to thread the needle and he threw it away. Unforced error. Here comes the game. And Asilian makes up for the mistake.
Entirely new crew out here. Next time we get a whistle, Adams scores again. Adams gets the put back and he puts it right back again.
Oh, what a beautiful bounce. But only 2 Euros stepped by a defender for the layup. Another dime from inside, another dunk, two-hand slam. Bounce pass, stolen away, fast hands, Bradley gets it to Butler, dunked it. Dumps it off to Lovato, nice man, good top weapon. 6:55. Still, one hand dunk for Peters.
Symbieta and JJ Buck.
Well, it's time to hit the reset button. It's one loss, but you don't want to turn it into two. It's a bye week for Lobo men's basketball. Well, a weekend off as they get ready for San Diego State. We'll dive into more of what happened against Boise State, but really start looking forward for the Lobos as they have another huge road game on deck Tuesday night in San Diego. We'll hear some sound. And what I wanted to do with the sound is hear what Pitino had to say immediately after the post game. And then last night on Lobo Talk, as he had some time to digest and watch the film from the Lobos falling at Boise State. The Broncos got him 86-78 the other night. You still look, they're in first place in the Mountain West Conference, 14-2 overall. Got a huge game this weekend. San Diego State at Utah State. Utah State 13-3 in conference. The Aztecs 11-4. So still so much to play for, and you just don't want one to turn it into two. And it's a big weekend to rest up, to get healthy, to get over some of the bugs that we're going through, especially CJ Nolan, who was under the weather. Mustafa Amzil, you hope he can get that foot in a manageable place where he can get back on the floor. Because when you're playing without your third leading scorer, your second leading rebounder, as much as you like the freshman in Jovan Milicevic, you need Mustafa Amzil. So it's a little bit of a late conference reset for the Lobos with a huge game Tuesday night. And how do you feel now that you've had some time to consume it? You went through it yesterday, all the emotions of flush this game. Don't let it be two. But Lobo fan, how you feeling about where this team is at and what they still need to do to solidify their resume to get the best seed possible when it comes to the NCAA tournament? Speaking of the NCAA tournament, we'll talk brackets and big-time conference games this weekend with Jerry Palm at CBS Sports. He'll join us this morning at 8:30 as he'll have his new bracket out today. We'll look at some of the big-time matchups throughout the weekend that are line movers, can move you up or down when it comes to that bracketology. Of Kenny Thomas, the Lobo legend, NBA veteran, at 9 o'clock. Sometimes these games happen. You get got. Lobos got in Boise. So how do they respond from that? What do they need to do going against San Diego State? And second half, NBA storylines. See what Kenny Thomas is looking for in the NBA. 505-246-0610. That is a Sports Animal hotline and text line this morning. JJ Buck, Zay Johnson with you. Zay holding it down. Very busy man this time of year, doing a lot of double duty. So we appreciate you, man. Appreciate you yesterday. I had a heck of a flight back. It was a late flight. I was a little under the weather, so appreciate you stepping up, holding it down yesterday.
Was the flight at least smooth? Everything was smooth.
Anytime you win, it's a good flight back.
Yeah, that was a great win.
Women, hard-fought win. San Jose State's not the pushover that people thought they were in the past. You go out there, you get a road dub, come back home. I was a little under the weather, so I appreciate you stepping up big time there. But excited to be back and really looking forward now. Yeah, we're still going to talk about some of that Boise State game because there's some issues there that has been lingering for a little bit for the Lobos, and especially it's trailing going into the second half, and they've been monsters in the second half. They've ran away from teams, but you got a Boise State team that has two really good players, and the Tyson Degenhart slander, it shouldn't happen. Do you think he's the player of the year this season? No, but he's a first-team all-conference player.
With 15 free throws, that was just insane. He attempted more free throws in that game than he did all year. He made more than he attempted before that game.
Yeah, and so that's where we kind of go back to the way Utah State fans were feeling about the Lobo game this last Sunday, right, where the whistle was heavily favored the Lobos. But that's going to happen when a team, it's the home court advantage. Refs are human. Do they buy into the buzz a little bit? Probably. But when you had Boise State efficient offensively, aggressive attacking, they started drawing the whistle after whistle after whistle. We'll hear from Richard Pitino when he talks about his team's defense in the second half coming up in a little bit. But that's what happens. And Lobos did that against Utah State. They started to swing the game in their favor. They got a ton of whistles, and they were able to pull away from the Aggies. And the same thing happened Wednesday night in Boise for the Lobos. The Broncos were efficient offensively. They started getting the whistles. They were aggressive. The Lobos started fouling like crazy. They weren't able to defend. I mean, you have Tyson Degenhart going off for 32 points. You have the freshman Pearson Carmichael going off for 21 points, 4 3-pointers. It was the perfect storm for Boise State to blow you out the bill.
Yeah, and what I can say, from what I could tell, the listeners of the opening drive much more optimistic following that loss than they were when I was on the show earlier in the season during some of the losses earlier in the season. So it seems as if the Lobos have built some sort of trust with the fan base, and no one's really panicking, and we see how the team bounces back from losses.
Yeah, this is still the best team in the Mountain West Conference. Mm-hmm. Can that gap be a little bit closer? Yes, because with Utah State, San Diego State tomorrow, the Aztecs, Lobos in Viejas on Tuesday night, it's kind of got to win territory if you're the Lobos and you want to make sure you win that regular season title. But I think to your point, when you lose earlier in the season to New Mexico State, that's your rival. That's going to sting more. There's going to be the direct trash talk, not just on social media, but day to day with Lobo and Aggie fans. That's going on. But this one on the road in conference play, you don't want to get blown out. But I think what you're talking about is they built up enough momentum. You know that this team can be the best team in the Mountain West Conference. Mm-hmm. You know that this team can respond as they've done, whether it was after that New Mexico State loss or after the loss at San Jose State. They went on an 8-game winning streak. So there's that trust there now. There's that foundation that is built. And I think for the Lobos, it really is just one where, all right, you took it on the chin. You know that you're better than that. You've been playing with fire a lot, with trailing at halftime in some of these games and having gigantic second half runs. You know what it takes in any of these games the Mountain West play, you know you can play different styles and win games. So there's a lot of positives that you lean on. You know, Boise State, while they're not living up to their expectations to this point as preseason favorites in the Mountain West Conference, they're still a team at home with the players that they have can do something like that. And so going into this weekend, again, it's Mustafa Amzil. Can he get to his foot to a manageable place where you need him on the floor? He's your third leading scorer and second leading rebounder. As much as people like to talk sometimes, maybe he takes too many threes, so be it. You need his presence out there. Jovan is a better player when Mustafa Amzil is out there. You need that depth. It was a rough week for CJ Nolan. The headshot that took him out of the Utah State game. What the Lobos did in that game shows you the potential that they have. They played that game without Mustafa. They played that game without CJ Nolan. But they can't do that multiple times, especially against the top opponents in the Mountain West Conference, and expect to win the games. Because that's what we saw happen in Boise. So you just hope Mustafa can get to a point where he can play manageable minutes with that foot. That CJ Nolan, he was over the head injury, which was good to see because he was out playing, but he was under the weather. So get him hydrated and rested. And then you have the Aztecs coming up on Tuesday night. And how do you beat the Aztecs? Well, you got to win at the rim, and you got to get that defensive intensity back. The defensive intensity wasn't there in the second half because it was Boise State that went on that massive run. It was a 3-point game at halftime. And then Boise State went on a 22-4 run. So Boise State did to the Lobos what the Lobos were doing to everyone else. And I was swarming them. I was going on a big run to flip the game. But UNM knows what it takes. And a little bit is just, hey, you got to get healthy. Got to get those guys available. Have to have them out on the floor, especially San Diego State. Because the San Diego State game was the one I was worried about over this stretch.
Yeah.
But now you say, oh, it's going to take a lot of work so it doesn't turn into 2 losses in a row. And having this off date on Saturday where the Lobos are not playing and the Aztecs have to go play at Logan, take advantage of that. Rest up. Get yourself back on track, which I don't think is a problem with this team. The effort, the focus, intensity, I don't think anything that's a problem. They just got beat by a team that was clicking at home, and then the Lobos didn't have the pieces to bounce back. I really did feel like the Lobos ran out of gas in the second half.
And also, how long has it been? Not that this really matters. How long has it been since UNM won at Boise? Isn't it like 7 to 8 years or something crazy like
now
that?
It's 7 in a row they've lost there.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, in Boise's 12-1 at home, maybe now 13-1 after that game. You know, it was I looked at it like a trap game. You know, I was talking with Carlos beforehand, and he's like, I have a weird feeling about this game. Feels like a trap game. And, yeah, he was right. So I don't think I think they'll be just fine. And I think, if anything, this improves the chances that they'll clean sweep the rest of their schedule.
505-246-0610. We'll hear from Richard Pitino, some of the post-game sound, his immediate reaction, and then what he had to say on Lobo Talk last night as the Lobos will rest up but work over the weekend and get ready for San Diego State. We'll have Jerry Palm coming up at 8:30. Look at his updated bracket, the seed lines for the Mountain West teams, kind of what it means now for the Lobos with another bump on their resume. It's not a bad loss. However, New Mexico is still a team that, even being in first place in the projected brackets, has been an 8 or 9 seed line team. What do they need to do to stay there, or maybe get up to 7th or 6th? Because Jerry Palm has talked about that being the highest they could go is probably a 7th seed in the NCAA tournament. And so if you are looking to get that done, you'd like to pick off another big-time road win, and that would be the Lobos and Aztecs on Tuesday night. Of Kenny Thomas coming up at 9 o'clock. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
If you're listening to sports, if you're looking for an...
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Blue Bell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub. official sandwich of ProView Networks.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
From the Sandia foothills to the banks of the Rio Grande, generations of families remain. For 5 generations, Gallus Chevrolet has handed down values written in stone, leading the way under sun-filled skies, past the vintage glow of Route 66. Built by generations past, built for generations to come. This is New Mexico. This is Gallus.
Hi, my name is Ruben, and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. Go to nmfafsa.org. That's nmfafsa.org.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You remember the day he poured in 63 points? The night he played a sold-out concert to 30,000 people. The day he gave his infamous speech. That's why you believe in heroes. That's why you remember and collect their memorabilia. All in autographs, where you can meet some of the greats, collect some of the greats, and share your own legacy. Visit All In Autographs, where you can celebrate the great and have your own piece of history.
I'm David C. Chavis, personal injury attorney. For over 4 decades, our law firm has remained steadfast in our commitment to serving the remarkable people of New Mexico that have been injured through no fault of their own. I'm a New Mexican fighting for New Mexicans. I received my bachelor's degree at NMSU and earned my law degree at UNM. I can proudly say I'm both an Aggie and a Lobo. Call now and I will meet with you. 40 years strong, and we're still as local as red and green.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
You had a little extra intrigue between the countries because political reasons, right? Canada's like, hey, bleep off. We're not going to become the 51st state. It's still our game. United States and Canada, the final last night. 4 nations face off. Connor McDavid in overtime wins it for Team Canada, beat the United States 3-2. It was electric. The atmosphere was awesome in Boston. It worked. Now, here's the thing. This isn't going to be every year. This was something they did this season. And it's something that I think could work every other year for the NHL to have the 4 nations face off. And we'll see if people care enough to tune in after the fact. If not, that's okay, because it was an electric moment for hockey. But this week has been all about having to fix All-Star games. And what's wrong with All-Star games? Ultimately, it's an entertainment product at the end of the day. But if you can find something like this that works, the 4 nations face off, where you had Canada, United States, Finland, and Sweden playing a little round-robin tournament, ended up being United States and Canada going at it. It was fantastic. But for the other sports, can you get a little bit of that? Can you emulate a little bit of that? I think basketball can with the 4-team format they were going with, playing to 40. Tighten that up a little bit. Maybe switch it up. You can do some USA versus the world type stuff. But this isn't an every year thing. And people out there like saying, oh, the NHL just dropped the bomb on everyone. They're going to win the All-Star Weekend. You didn't even know the NHL had an All-Star game before this. Like, their All-Star game was as bad as the NBA All-Star game. They changed it. They were playing 3-on-3 hockey. It is so hard to find All-Star formats that work because it's an exhibition game.
So if you did it for the NBA, do you think they should allow, like, say there's some players who they think are good enough to start on, say, Team France, and they're in France and they don't play in the NBA? Should they be allowed, or is it only NBA players that are from France?
I think to me, ultimately, I think it's
everyone. You're right. Just your best team possible.
They allowed the G League players to have a team. The Rising Stars were in there. I think if you work within those things where you have like the G League players or NBA players putting something together, like an all-star event, that could work. But again, that's what I've screamed all week long. It's entertainment. You want to have fun. You want to have some level of competitiveness. But what you got is a four-nation face-off. Everyone's saying, yeah, they solved it. You can't do that every year. Because you have dudes that are going to miss some regular season time from this.
Yeah.
Like, they went out for their country. It was awesome. It's not an every year thing. Every other year?
I was going to say maybe every other year.
It could be. Because, by the way, why this was popping so much for people, the NHL hasn't let their players play in the Olympics in a while. So this was the first time since 2016 that you had the best players in the world playing for their countries against each other.
Yeah,
they haven't been playing in the Winter Olympics. Now, the NHL will compete in the Winter Olympics in 2026 in Italy. So I think this was a kind of a step towards that, a warm-up of allowing these guys, all right, we're going to take an extended All-Star break. We'll do the Four Nations face-off. It works. And I think every other year between Winter Olympics, if you're going to allow the NHL players to participate in the Winter Olympics, it can be something that works, which is awesome.
I'm super behind the country versus other country thing. Have you been able to leave the country before, JJ? I feel like you have.
I just down to Mexico.
Okay, so I feel like for me, obviously I was always prideful for American teams, but like once I left the country, and I've said this before, like once I left the country and saw how everyone kind of looks at us like the big bad bullies and we're kind of like the target, I really got behind, like, for instance, the Olympics this last summer. I was really, really behind it just for that reason. And for this hockey tournament, I got a little bit of America in me. And then the hockey tournament, like I was watching that. First time I've watched hockey in a long time. So they got me. Like,
yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. I'm not denying that. But this is not something you can have every time. So when you have your events, try to own the moment. That's what I've been talking about the whole time with the NBA. Win the moment, then see if you can get some people that will follow the product for a little bit after the fact. Will people tune into some NHL games over the next week or two? That's what you're hoping. Because your All-Star game should be a celebration. It's not going to be the Game 7 intensity that everyone's been screaming about when it comes to the NBA All-Star Game. 505-246-0610. It's the opening drive. That is the Sports Animal Hotline and text line for you to get involved this morning. JJ Buck, Zay with you. Go to the phones. Travis, you're on the opening drive. What's up, Travis? How you doing, man?
Good morning, fellas. Happy Friday.
Yes,
Happy
sir.
Friday. Welcome back, JJ. I'm glad you made it back safely. Great win, by the way, for the Lady Lobos. Look, we all know why the Lobo men lost that game up in Boise, Idaho.
Was it Jeff
It's
Grammer's
for one very simple reason. Jeff Grammer.
You didn't make the game.
Jeff Grammer is the reason why we lost that game. I mean, I would have looked at Southwest Airlines and just go, do you know who that guy is? Got to be better, Southwest Airlines. In the games that Jeff Grammer has not been in attendance, Lobos have gone 1-7. So the most important piece, the MVP of the Lobos, looking purely at the stats and the analytics, okay, is Jeff Grammer.
Dude, that is the worst thing that could ever happen, because now Jeff Grammer already has the biggest ego of anyone walking around. Like he pushes us around when we're coming down that pit ramp. He's like, get out my way. I got to set up my cameras. I got to do my pregame show. And now this happens. Like, I can't believe it, man. It's going to be so hard to deal with Jeff Grammer now. That
I am sure. I am sure he doesn't listen. He doesn't need any help. Boosting his confidence. He's and then, by the way, well earned. He is one of the. He's obviously an award-winning sports journalist and one of the best to do it in the region. But I do think it's funny that in the games that Jeff Grammer is not in attendance, the Lobos do not have a great track record. So listen, Southwest Airlines, get it together, or maybe Kurt, tip off some NIL money to make sure that guy is on a chartered flight wherever the Lobos are playing, but make it happen. But anyway, I think the way you started out the show on the Open, I think was a great point, which is the Lobos all season long. I don't want to overstate it, but have had this difficulty, I think, getting off to a quick start in some of these games. Whether it be, they're down like 8 or 9-1, and then in the second half they are able to run away from their opponents. And against this Boise team, they were only down 3, and so you felt okay as a Lobo fan, even though obviously there were some missing pieces. Amsel not being there is a big deal. Milicevic was not hitting from the 3-point line like he was against Utah State. So there were some red flags, but you didn't feel bad. But when Boise State got hot from the 3-point line in the second half and continued hitting 3-pointers, and the Lobos, energy-wise, didn't seem to match what Boise was doing, it got bad. And I know that the ending score of that game was 9 points, but I don't know. Anyone watching that game, it was not a close game, unfortunately. And so that's something that the Lobos need to address and kind of need to figure out. And hopefully this is a one-off. But we all know that the Lobos have been able to respond really well when they lose these games. And so I look forward to them, being able to do that. Final thing for me, JJ, I know that you're an NBA guy, and I know that Zay, I believe that you are a Lakers fan.
Yes.
Does it concern you, and I'll hang up, but does it concern you at all looking at Luka's stat line, the fact that I don't think in any game that he's played with the Lakers, and there's only been 3 of them, but he's not scoring over 15 points in any of those games. And so does it worry you, his ability to play with LeBron at this stage? And, when is he going to turn it on and start, showing the Luka magic? Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Appreciate the call, Travis. He got in 505-246-0610. A lot there. We'll answer the question about Luka and the Lakers after the break. We'll get some sound around the corner from Richard Pitino on his Lobos, not just the post-game sound, but also after watching film, what he had to say at Lobo Talk last night. It's the opening drive. You can catch us on ProView Networks, Adrian Holentown, and 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
When the leaves are off the trees, that's the best time to get your trees trimmed.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Blue Bell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. For over 20 years, Evergard Roofing and Solar has been committed to customer service. Locally owned and operated, Evergard offers both commercial and residential roofing and solar services. For more info, please call 505-821-9543. Evergard Roofing and Solar are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
I might not be in the cage as much anymore. Just like riding a bicycle, I can pick up the fight from where I left off. I'm not some slick-haired outsider posing with borrowed gloves. I grew up here. New Mexico is in my blood. I'm a New Mexican fighting for other New Mexicans. I'm Adam Oki. I'll be your champion in the courtroom.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com. ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Who gets the last shot? The Wednesday night, LeBron James, he missed two potential game-tying three-pointers as the Lakers fell to the Charlotte Hornets 100-97. It was a standalone game. It was a makeup game that was rescheduled from when they had to postpone it back on January 9th with the devastating wildfires that were going on. But it was the game in which LeBron James and Luka Doncic played, and they lost. And after the game, Luka Doncic said, quote, "He had it going, so obviously we were going to him. I think it will go both ways. One time it's going to be him, one time me. So I think it depends on how the game is going." That's Luka Doncic and LeBron James. And who's going to take the last shot in clutch moments? That makes sense. And if someone hits it, then maybe next game, Redick draws up another play for that player. But Travis, just before the break, said, all right, when's Luka going to click? When is we going to see one of those big-time Luka games? Well, probably going to take a week or two because this is a guy that wasn't playing a lot of basketball.
That's the big one.
That was out for a little while. And he's come back. He played 24 minutes, game one with the Lakers, 14 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 5 of 14 from the field. Then played against the Jazz again, 23 minutes, 16 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 6 of 13 shooting. And that loss against Charlotte, not great, just 5 of 18 from the field, had 14 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, did turn it over 6 times.
He had like 4 or 5 turnovers in the first 5 minutes of the game, like back-to-back possessions, turnover. And like you said, he hasn't played a lot of basketball. His timing's off. That's the biggest reason. That's like the biggest hiccup with him right now is he is in pass mode. He's not really in scoring mode. So I don't think we'll see him score a lot unless he hits his first few shots and he just keeps hitting them. He's turning down open looks to try to find teammates. And Luke is a guy that can make those super special tight window passes. He can make those behind the back trick passes. And he's had a lot of highlights when he's pulled them off, but he's also had turnovers when he's tried to pull them off. And I think he's playing like himself, as LeBron told him to, or asked him to, whichever you want to say. And it's just going to take some time for him to get his timing back, not only with new teammates, but also he wasn't playing. I mean, he hadn't played since Christmas, and then he played twice, and then it's the All-Star break.
It's going to take some time. I think Luke will be fine. There will be a little give and take between LeBron and Luka Doncic, but those guys are going to be able to play with each other. Those guys are going to be able to set each other up. Look, last night, Luka did not play. It was an 8-point win for the Lakers in Portland over the Trailblazers, 110-102. LeBron scored 40 points, by the way. So, he can just still roll out there. 14 of 24 from the field, dropped 40. Austin Reeves had 32. Scoring-wise, this team is going to be fine. Like, when Luka's playing, Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves, they're going to get buckets. It's going to come down to defensively in tight moments. Can they get a stop on the other end? What's it going to look like in a potential 7-game series? Because the Lakers are in the 5th spot right now. They're 2.5 games ahead of the Clippers. So they're in a position to be out of the play-in tournament, which they want to be. They don't want to have to be there. And you look at the race in the Western Conference, the second half of the season, with players coming back, it is going to be incredibly exciting. The Clippers with Kawhi Leonard back, I know people are done with Kawhi. Been there, done that. Kawhi in that Clippers lineup has posted some of the best metrics of the season. Like, he's superstar level numbers. Like, they have some of the best lineups with Kawhi on the floor. But is he going to be there constantly? That's the giant unknown. But you have the Clippers sitting there in 6th place. You have the Houston Rockets, who've fallen back down to earth a little bit. You thought probably with this team, maybe they're a year or two ahead of being a legit contender like Oklahoma City is with the talent that the Thunder have. The Thunder are 8 games up, man.
Yeah.
In the Western Conference. Like, that's insane. Like, they are the best team in basketball right now. Now, I still think you can say overall, when you look at the Boston Celtics, not just because they won the championship last year, but because of their lineup. When you have Brown, Tatum, White, Porzingis, all those pieces together, like, I could still see, all right, them being the title favorites. But the best team in basketball right now is Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, it would just be really, really hard to pick against Boston if those two were to meet up in a 7-game series. Like, I still believe OKC can be the better team, but I think Boston's got more experience and they figure out a way to win. So if it's OKC versus any other team, I'm taking OKC.
I would too. I just love where the Thunder are and the way that they played without Chet Holmgren and then getting Chet Holmgren back. SGA, like, they are a phenomenal basketball team. But you look at the Western Conference race, because it kind of goes back to where we started, just with the Lakers, them figuring things out. The big news yesterday, Wemby, done for the season, has the blood clot, deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder, so he's done for the year. They're hopeful that they caught it early enough to where it's something that they can get figured out, can go into the offseason, and then get back for next season. And that's a devastating blow just for Wemby, man. That's the scary thing. You're out there playing the All-Star game with this.
Yeah.
And then they find it when you get back. And the Spurs, made the big move for De'Aaron Fox to pair him with Wemby moving forward. So we're going to have to wait and see what that combination could be like in a full season next year. But the Spurs still went out last night and beat the Suns. They were actually playing that game in Austin, Texas last night. And the Spurs without Wemby beat Phoenix, and Phoenix is 2.5 games back of Golden State for the final playing spot. The Spurs would be 3 games back now, but without Wemby, that's a bummer because that dude was like, he's an alien.
Literally.
There's a lot of people in the NBA right now. I get it. We have the conversation, why are people not watching basketball? The style of play the way the game is played, it's a real conversation to have. And I think it just got blown up even more with the All-Star game talk over the last week or so. But there's some unbelievable players in this league right now. Like human beings that are doing stuff that shouldn't do things, but they're athletes, and they do them. And Victor Wembanyama is one of those guys. And it's a bummer that we won't get to see him on the floor, because I liked what San Antonio did this season. I really liked how they did lean into their young players that they've drafted over the last few years, brought in a Chris Paul to have a veteran in that room, made the big-time trade to bring in De'Aaron Fox and say, hey, we're not going to just wait around. We're going to start attacking this now when you have a player like Victor Wembanyama. So it's super unfortunate for him that he's not going to play, but catching it when they did, it does sound like there's hope that this isn't going to be a lingering issue. They believe that they can get him healthy, get it figured out so he can be back on the floor, because this is something that cost Chris Bosh his end of his career. He had to retire earlier than he wanted to because of blood clots.
It's not something that you'd expect, and also just like when you look at historically what can cause those, you wouldn't. It's kind of shocking to see it happen to some of these athletes who we know are in great shape and are, doing the right things nutrition wise. So just prayers for Wemby. I'm sure they're going to have the best doctors figuring this thing out, and I do think he'll be back. And hopefully it's not a Chris Bosh situation.
Yeah, but that's a big impact. It's just, of course, for the athlete first and foremost, but then, the Western Conference, because the Spurs would have been a very pesky team in the play-in tournament had Wemby been healthy with De'Aaron Fox down the stretch run. And you're looking at running down teams like the Warriors, Kings, Mavericks, the squads that are in front of them. Of course, Kings made the move off of De'Aaron Fox. The Mavericks now still without AD for a couple more weeks with his injury. So we shall see how it plays out. But some big storylines second half of the season in the NBA. 505-246-0610 Sports Animal Hotline and text line this morning. We got Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, coming up at 8:30. We're talking brackets, seed lines, moving up or down. It's resume season. Every single one of these games means a move up or down for these teams. And the Lobos, if they don't win the Mountain West Conference, what could you look at? Are they pretty much just stuck at the 8-9 seed? Would they drop a little bit lower than that? Big time game coming up Tuesday night in San Diego. We got some post-game sound we're still going to get into. A lot for you on this Friday morning right here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report is...
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Bluebell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. For over 20 years, Evergard Roofing and Solar has been committed to customer service. Locally owned and operated, Evergard offers both commercial and residential roofing and solar services. For more info, please call 505-821-9543. Evergard Roofing and Solar are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
I might not be in the cage as much anymore. Just like riding a bicycle, I can pick up the fight from where I left off. I'm not some slick-haired outsider posing with borrowed gloves. I grew up here. New Mexico is in my blood. I'm a New Mexican fighting for other New Mexicans. I'm Adam Oki. I'll be your champion in the courtroom.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com. ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
Got shots? Got shots? Got shots?
During Got Shots, participating providers open their doors for any child who presents for immunizations, regardless of whether they are a patient or whether they have insurance.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Having an immediate post-game reaction from the Boys State game and something he had to say last night at Lobo Top. Mexico gets to reset late in conference play, a little breather this weekend. No game for the Lobos on Saturday. And New Mexico, San Diego State in Viejas Tuesday night. It's a huge one. Saturday, the Aztecs are at Utah State. So Lobos are 14-2 in Mountain West play. Utah State's 13-3. San Diego State is 11-4. And Colorado State's right there at 11-4. But look at those top three teams still fighting for the NCAA tournament hopes. Boise State sneaky on the bubble there. Jerry Palm, before the New Mexico game, had them in the next four out. So they're one of those teams that's hoping that a few squads in front of them fall, that they can climb their way back up. UNM win was big for the Broncos. We'll talk with Jerry Palm coming up at 8:30. What his bracket is going to look like this weekend. And, of course, discuss the marquee games around college basketball. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buckets A. Johnson with you this morning. Adrian holding it down on ProView Networks. Are you ready for October 25th, Zay? Do you know what day that is?
Yeah, remind me the day.
So October 25th is when Bronco Mendenhall will bring Utah State to Albuquerque to play the Lobos. So the Mountain West unveiled its 2025 football schedule yesterday, and we know the dates for all the games in Jason Eck's first season as head coach of the New Mexico Lobos. It's not an easy start. It's August 30th at Michigan. All right, go get your check. Come home, you play Idaho State, and then you're at UCLA. Probably a 1-2 start to the season. You get a bye September 20th, and then you host New Mexico State. So the opportunity coming out of the bye is where you want to gain some ground if you're the Lobos. You host New Mexico State, then you go to San Jose State before playing Boise State. So you love
3-2 going into Boise?
3-2 going into Boise State. That would be ideal for New Mexico. Then you host Nevada right before you host Utah State. So October 25th is going to be one of the biggest regular season games Lobo football has ever had. You have the rivalry game with New Mexico State. It's always buzzing. It gets a good crowd. But because Lobo football has struggled so much, they haven't been able to build another rival. They haven't had that game that has the extra oomph behind it that did get people going. At least this first matchup in Albuquerque, it's going to get the people going. And when Bronco Mendenhall brings the Aggies to town October 25th, I'm expecting people to be interested. Now, plenty. Honestly, if the Lobos are a one-win team, then it takes some luster off it, right? Like they have to find a way to pick off a couple games before that contest, October 25th, when Bronco Mendenhall comes to town. But there's going to be a little something extra there, and also the fact that will be the last year of the Mountain West Conference before the split.
Yeah,
and so you want to beat as many of those teams as you can. You want to stick it to them for splitting off and going to the new look Pac-12. But even with that said, the Bronco Mendenhall come back.
Yeah, the batteries.
Wild,
the batteries are going to be sold out of all the stores. The week
it's going to be Philadelphia out there. But goodness, so October 25th, Bronco Mendenhall is coming to town, and I can't remember the last regular season game that would have that much energy, that much passion to it. That's not a New Mexico State game. There hasn't been one for a long time for Lobo football. So you get that, then it's at UNLV bye week, and you finish up the season hosting Colorado State, going to Air Force, and playing San Diego State. So, the Mountain West Conference, it could be manageable, but you just have no idea. With an entire new look roster, new coaching staff, and new philosophies, hopefully see a competitive team early. Again, coming out of that bye week, after those first 3 games, you're at Michigan, you host Idaho State, you go to UCLA. It's New Mexico State, San Jose State. If you can find a way to get those 2 wins, be 3-2 starting the rest of your Mountain West schedule, that would be phenomenal. But we just have to wait and see. And with so many football teams in this era, group of 5 teams, I know Jeff was talking about the other day the amount of first-team all-conference players. I think it was almost 67%, Zay.
Wow.
A group of 5 first-team all-conference players transfer. So, Mountain West teams, right? Your good players are leaving. So when you have that happening, really, those first 3 games, are we going to know much about the Lobos? When you're playing, Michigan FCS opponent, UCLA, we're really not going to know much about them. But that's why coming out New Mexico State, San Jose State, that's going to be when we find out what Lobo football is going to be like.
But they mess around and keep those games, not that I would ever expect a blowout, but I mean, if you play 2 tough games against Michigan and UCLA and then win that game in the middle.
Oh, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, there's a lot of optimism.
But for me, I'm going to really reserve my judgment until
New Mexico State. Yeah.
New Mexico State and San Jose State. Because it's such a wild swing from, Michigan, Idaho State to UCLA.
Yeah.
And then you get, all right, these are your opponents at that point in time. But that's the schedule for Lobo football, and you circle the date, October 25th. Bronco Mendenhall bringing the Utah State Aggies to Albuquerque.
You think the coaches, you think in Bronco's position, you think he's going to feel that? You think he'll really feel that pressure, or you think he's going to be locked in? I know the team, some of the players may feel like, well, we're playing for coach. We want to make sure coach has a good experience. But I don't know if the team's going to really understand it. I feel like maybe Bronco, his family, and then everybody on the Lobos side will be the only people who understand the magnitude.
I think the Lobos are going to feel it. I think Coach Eck and company, they're going to lean into it. I do. I think Bronco Mendenhall could care less. Like, if any coach I've ever been around, that is the one dude that absolutely is the we're on to Cincinnati mindset.
Yeah.
Like, not
Mr. Nonchalant.
Overthinking anything. Like, Bronco Mendenhall was great at that. Like, staying in the moment, not letting any outside noise filter into anything he's doing. Because he is going to hate that week because people are going to be asking about him all week.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going to hate it, but I don't think you're going to get anything outwardly. I'm sure at the end of the day, into that game, if he wins, he's going to have a little extra smirk on his face.
I bet that bus ride, pulling up to the stadium, just walking in, I think that's when, no matter how hard he tries, I think he's going to feel it when he shows up to the stadium on game day. I mean, just naturally, because it was just your stadium. So it's like, it's basically like, even when you could happily sell your house to somebody, but when you drive by your old house, there's still that little bit of awkwardness. I don't know what the right word is, but you're looking at your old house and it's like, that was once my front yard. Like, why do they have that there?
I see what you're saying. And I do think there'll be an element of that with Bronco, of coming in and saying, yep, you wish you still had me, right? But Lobo fans are going to be electric, and you just hope that Lobo football is able to do something to where there's a little bit of meat on that bone going into that October 25th game when Bronco and the Aggies come to town. What do you think, Lobo fans? It's early, but you see this football schedule, October 25th. Utah State coming to Albuquerque to take on the Lobos. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line for you this morning. We come back on the other side, some Richard Pitino audio as we reset Lobo basketball. Get healthy, get ready for a big-time matchup against the Aztecs, who have a big-time matchup themselves tomorrow. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Blue Bell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
I'm a Blaze King customer, and I have been for the last 10 years. Blaze King stoves are very efficient, they're easy to maintain, and they use a lot less wood than you would typically use with a fireplace.
Blaze King, that's a fire.
The heat is on when it's a Blaze King wood stove, controlling heat up to 40 hours on a single load of wood with a built-in thermostat. See for yourself at either Blaze King showroom, Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Blaze King, and now that's a fire.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi, my name is Ruben, and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. Go to nmfafsa.org. That's nmfafsa.org.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. For over 4 decades, our law firm has remained steadfast in our commitment to serving the remarkable people of New Mexico that have been injured through no fault of their own. I'm a New Mexican fighting for New Mexicans. I received my bachelor's degree at NMSU and earned my law degree at UNM. I can proudly say I'm both an Aggie and a Lobo. Call now and I will meet with you. 40 years strong, and we're still as local as red and green.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
From the Sandia foothills to the banks of the Rio Grande, generations of families remain. For 5 generations, Gallus Chevrolet has handed down values written in stone, leading the way under sun-filled skies, past the vintage glow of Route 66. Built by generations past, built for generations to come. This is New Mexico. This is Gallus.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You remember the day he poured in 63 points? The night he played a sold-out concert to 30,000 people. The day he gave his infamous speech. That's why you believe in heroes. That's why you remember and collect their memorabilia. All in Autographs, where you can meet some of the greats, collect some of the greats, and share your own legacy. Visit All In Autographs, where you can celebrate the great and have your own piece of history.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
ProView Network, you can catch the show. Xfinity Comcast Channel 26, streaming online as well. So Lobos trying to regroup after their loss at Boise State, 86-78. And really, Boise State controlled the second half. And I know New Mexico made a late push in that contest, but the Broncos had that game in control. And it started with a big run early in the second half. So Boise State did to the Lobos what New Mexico had been doing to everyone else, as they had a run, about 7-minute stretch, 22-4. They got the lead over the Lobos, and then they were able to hold on and move forward. For New Mexico, it's about getting Mustafa Amsdale in a position where he can contribute on the floor. CJ Nolan was back. Good to see. However, from getting hit in the head on Sunday at Utah State to under the weather. So you have this time off in a stretch, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Travel out on Monday to San Diego to get ready for the Aztecs. And yeah, I wasn't here yesterday, but I know everyone kind of went through it. There's a couple things I want to play from the immediate post-game reaction from Richard Pitino, and then something he had to say last night on Lobo Talk. And we'll just start with the second half, which has been all New Mexico. Well, it was Boise State on Wednesday.
Defensive disruption just was not where it's been. We made Cardenas extremely uncomfortable in the first game, did not make him uncomfortable enough. I mean, he's a terrific player, 10 assists, where first time we were way more disruptive. And then you let Dagenhart get 32 points. You're putting a freshman on him. It's a hard spot, obviously, for Jovan right now, but it's the hand we're dealt with Mustafa. CJ was fighting through it. He's got the flu right now, so he was battling. So it was just like one of those games where it was just like, we felt good going into halftime. Like, I thought we played well. They went on that run. We tried to slow them down. We came back at the end. But also credit to Boise State. They needed that win to kind of get back into the picture a little bit, and they got us.
I think that's one of the underrated things about Mustafa Amzil is it's easy to get caught up in his shooting. Yeah, he takes a lot of shots, and you look at three-point attempts. He's attempted the most three-pointers on this team. He's only a 30% three-point shooter, but his length and the way he can affect the game defensively, and one of the traits of this Lobo team has been the added size on this year's roster, and that's having Mustafa Amzil out there. It's just another long body inside. He's the second leading rebounder. You look at, he does have 20 block shots, 18 steals on the season. Nowhere near the defensive numbers, of course, of Nelly Jr. Joseph, but it is another body. Like Filip Borovichinin, Mustafa, the length, which helps this team defensively because they got beat up in the second half, and that led to them fouling a lot. And then, Rich Pitino did touch on that. Yeah, CJ Nolan was under the weather, Mustafa was out, so they have to use these couple days and hope everybody is able to respond the right way.
At the end.
Yeah, I mean, we were better towards the end. We were good in the first half, but that first 10, 12, 13 minutes, we just were in the second half, we were just not very good. So we'll get a little rest. I think we need that. Yeah. I don't know how long Stoff will be out. CJ had gotten kind of sick right before the game. We had the doctors check him out. They said he was okay, so get him some rest as well. And it's one of those things, illnesses are going around with everybody. So hopefully we can get a little rest and recover a little bit. Especially with Stoff and then, CJ, obviously, I'm not a doctor, but you normally get a little sicker as it goes on. So hopefully we can get him back, get him some rest, get him hydrated. After 16 games, we're 14-2. We're still sitting in first place. A little rest will be good for the guys.
A little rest will be good indeed. And I think that's what you have to look at is this team had done a really good job of playing through different styles, of not having to just play one style to win. Yeah, sometimes maybe they'll get a game where they got hot from three, they run away, lean on their defense. Boise State got them, and sometimes that happens. And we were talking with Kenny Thomas on Tuesday about NBA teams that just get got on certain nights, and it happened to the Lobos and Boise, and I think a lot of it was running out of gas, and it will catch up to you. Like the Broncos were a hungry team. The Broncos still have two really talented players, Tyson Degenhart and Cardenadas, who had 10 assists and just 3 turnovers, 11 points. He controlled the game, point guard position. Donovan Dent, when you look, and he had 17 and 11 himself, it was just 4 of 13 from the field. Ultimately, to me, it's the defensive edge wasn't there, and you all saw that in the second half with Boise State being able to lean on the Lobos, get them in foul trouble, put that pressure. When you start fouling, that shows that you're on your heels, that the other team is starting to push you around, and that's what happened early in the second half. Is Boise State got the momentum and went right at the Lobos, and more times than not, we've seen New Mexico be able to be that team, able to assert their will over someone in the second half. But getting players back as healthy as you can be at this point in the season, and you look at this roster, sickness, it happens. You got to deal with it. Everyone gets under the weather at some point over the winter. But the foot stuff with Mustafa is honestly, for Lobo fans, you just got to keep your fingers crossed and hope he gets to a manageable point where you can get some minutes out of him, because Jovan has a really high ceiling. And Rich Pitino talks about it, that Jovan is going to be a really good player. But you need Mustafa. You need that balance of a veteran in there, a guy that's a little bit better defender than Jovan is right now. Those two can work off each other. And for the Lobos going to San Diego State, they're going to have to win that game defensively and then at the rim. And so you want that length, because that's what the Aztecs bring to the table. It's that length, that physicality. And it's going to be just like going into Boise State, how you were, without Mustafa, so we know that was going to be a challenge. But if you're without Mustafa going to San Diego State, you're going to be underdogs again. And then the Lobos are going to have to find a way to stay in a game, and it comes with that defensive intensity. Well, Filip Borovichinin was also on the post-game show after it, and, well, he kind of said, hey, we know what it feels like now to be on the other end of one of those second-half runs.
I mean, I gotta give credit to the Boise State. They're a great team. They play great tonight, and I think obviously that middle balls can hurt us during the game. But the biggest thing for me, in my opinion, was just they beat us in our own game, They was getting stops and running, fast breaking, open shots, layups, and that's what we do usually. We do the teams. That's how we get the win, and this time they beat us in our own game, and you got to give credit to them. They played a great game, and that's it.
That's it. And one thing's listening to Philip post-game with Robert Portnoy and Hunter Green, I really liked it, is his mindset is what this Lobo team is all about. They tried asking Philip about his shooting, the fact he was 3 of 5 from 3, scored 18 points in that game, was really efficient, and Philip was like, nah, man, I'd rather be 0 of 5 and win than hit a couple three-pointers and lose the game. But that's the mindset that this team has, and that's the mindset that they're going to bounce back, they're going to be competitive the rest of the way. It's a challenge. And when you go on the road at Boise State, you're down a couple pieces, CJ Nolan back, but not 100%. These things can happen. And now going into San Diego State, what are they going to need to do? And I do want to run the last one from last night. Just Richard Pitino rewatching the game and just kind of his final thoughts on it as he took a step back, watched the film, and how he felt about his Lobos against the Broncos.
Yeah, and even being down one player is a lot harder than you think it is. Like Jovan, I really, really like. That's a hard situation to thrust a freshman into, especially versus a Dagenhart type player. So, but again, we lost one game. I think we've won, 8 of 9, won 15-17. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I mean, I thought the first half, it was a really entertaining game.
Fantastic. You brought up the noise, by the way.
Second half, we just kept fouling. Like, I rewatched it. I didn't think it was poorly officiated. Like, there were some things that could have gone either way, but it was like when they built that lead, it was consecutive possessions of either they made a 3, an and 1, or we sent them to the line. And I think that's where they kind of built that lead. But we fought to get it back to single digits.
And that's, again, it's what we were talking about. The second half, when a team gets on a run, we've seen it so many times, opponents to the Lobos, they get on their heels, they start fouling, they send New Mexico to the foul line. Lobos were overwhelming opponents in the second half, and Boise State was able to do that in Extra Mile Arena over at New Mexico. But now you digest it, right? You hit the reset button. You look at this team hopefully getting as healthy as they can be in this little stretch before going to San Diego. What are your expectations in Vallejas? A bounce-back win, a close game. After what happened against Boise State, there's always that potential where you could be on the other side of it. But I think the Lobos respond. I think it's a close game, but I do think it's going to be up for grabs in the second half. Just like New Mexico held serve at home, that is exactly what these teams are doing. But tomorrow, San Diego State at Utah State, so they have a big-time matchup before hosting the Lobos, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this race down the stretch. We'll get your thoughts, 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line. This morning is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored.
Albuquerque. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sports shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You remember the day he poured in 63 points? The night he played a sold-out concert to 30,000 people. The day he gave his infamous speech. That's why you believe in heroes. That's why you remember and collect their memorabilia. All in Autographs, where you can meet some of the greats, collect some of the greats, and share your own legacy. Visit All In Autographs, where you can celebrate the great and have your own piece of history.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Blue Bell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
We'll talk with Jerry Palm coming up at 8:30 this morning. Go over the bracket. Utah State, San Diego State, New Mexico. Still 3 Mountain West teams in the projected bracket right now, but all this stuff is always moving. It's that time of year where wins and losses can make you an 8, a 9, drop you to a 10, burst your bubble. Last 4 in, first 4 out. Boise State, that victory for them over New Mexico has them in the first 4 out. Last team in the first 4 out for Jerry Palm. But a lot of big-time matchups this weekend. We'll talk with the bracketologist from CBS Sports coming up at 8:30. The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. 505-246-0610 is the Sports Animal hotline and text line this morning. JJ Buck and Zay Johnson with you. So Lobos get a chance to reset a little bit, get healthy before they go to San Diego to take on the Aztecs Tuesday night. Big one tomorrow. Aztecs at Utah State. The other games on the conference slate on the men's side, Fresno State at Air Force, the Spartans at Wyoming, Boise State's at Nevada, and then Colorado State is at UNLV. You go to the phones. JD, what's going on this morning, man? How you doing?
I'm good, JJ. How are you?
Doing good, man.
Yeah, I knew it was going to sting a little bit when we lost our next game, but I kind of resolved myself that was going to be the one we lost. I thought we were tired going into it. That was before we even didn't have Amzil. I just didn't think we were going to be able to pull it out. I don't know. I just resolved myself that was going to be the one. So it didn't sting that bad. As far as San Diego State, I think that they've changed the way they've run things, and they were trying to go through Bird all year to make him that guy that they've always had, and it wasn't working. And I think in the past months they've switched it, and Boyd's gotten hot, and McGuath has just blossomed. And I think we're going to have to contain Boyd, not let him do what he's been doing, and just let Guath. If we've got to have somebody besides Nelly inside, because we can be better inside than them, because Jaime is not that good. But without Amzil, man, that makes it tough inside. I don't know who we put inside to help him, because I don't think Jovan's going to have it just yet. And if you put Phillip down there, you can't do that, because then he can't be out front. San Diego State's not as good as Boise, I don't think. And even though it's at home on the road in Viejas, we got to get this one. I would have preferred to have beaten Boise and gone into this break, because that would have probably had us on the 7 line. And then if we had to lose one, lose that one. I think we got a chance to beat them. I think we can still win out. But we really need to we got to figure out the shorter rotation now, because if we don't have Amzil going forward, it's going to hurt us a little bit. I'm anxious to see where Jerry's got us today. I didn't look this morning. We probably fell off that 8 line, and we'll go from there. But that's kind of what I think is going to happen. So hopefully we get a good rest the next few days. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, JD. It's an interesting point. So I think San Diego State can be a tougher game than Boise State. I think Boise State offensively is better in spurts than the Aztecs, but there's just still something about the Aztecs. When they play that game, that grind, the length, the athleticism that they have, that's why you really hope that Mustafa's in a place where he can give you some minutes in that contest on Tuesday. Mike, you're on the opening drive. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for taking my call. Last caller kind of took my thunder. I was going to say that I think the Lobos do just kind of need to toughen up on the interior a little bit. Otherwise, the team is solid. And, the big difference between San Diego State and Boise State, is the pedigree. San Diego State is just used to being in the postseason play. I think the Lobos are going to shake it out and get this straight. I'd like the squad this year. It's a good squad. But I wanted to throw this out at you, too, JJ. Tell me what you think, man. For the NBA All-Star Game, I got a suggestion that I think would make it just a little bit, way better. What if they do a USA v. Canada hockey game for the NBA All-Star Game, and boom, ratings will go up 10 times. What do you think about that? Thanks for taking my call, man.
I think the Four Nations face-off was fantastic, and it just happened to be played at a time where there's a lot of political back and forth between the two countries. Well, it's mainly just the United States going, hey, do you want to become a state? They're like, no.
Lightning in the bottle type situation.
So it just happened to line up that way. Now, the Four Nations face-off is not going to be an every year thing. It was awesome. I think if it's every other year in between the Winter Olympics, then that could really work for the NHL. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's an all-star game. And the NHL all-star game had fallen off the face of the earth just like the NBA all-star game did. They went to 3-on-3. They were playing these mini-team things. You want it to be a fun, positive celebration of your sport. But fans also have to have the understanding that it's not going to be like Game 7 of a conference final. Do you want to try to find that balance of where at least there's some fun, competitive stuff going on? Yeah, you do. And I think the NBA can get there with the smaller, well, not smaller, but that 4-team tournament they're doing. Mm-hmm. I do think there's a lot of different ways you could pick teams that could bring some intensity to it. In fact, you're playing to 40. It's kind of king of the court style basketball. You're showing up. It's all right. My team wins. I stay on the court. I think something like that could be fun to do.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's still an all-star game. And we're overthinking an all-star game. And the all-star game is not the problem with basketball. It's the overall product. This should just be a fun celebration of it that you move on. And I think are just doing a little too much with the all-star game.
Yeah. I can't sit here and say that I just all the way disagree, but I do feel like...
Come on, Eric. Sorry, Sweet Deal's coming. Eric Strauss coming in, Sweet Deal, just talking, the microphone's
Sweet Deal's Moolas is awesome, by the way. You're going to love it. You're going to love it.
Gabriel is here. Good morning, man. How you doing?
Good morning. Doing great. Yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. So we got an awesome Sweet Deal. We'll get into it since Eric Strauss, it's his house, right? It's the house of Strauss coming in. Sweet Deal this morning goes live on our website, sportsanimalabq.com. You get half off. So for just $30, you can get $60 worth of moolas, some fantastic New Mexico and native foods. Gabriel, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me.
So the one thing with New Mexican food is you don't want to change it too much because there's something so special about it. So when you put your dishes together. What do you do that you take them to the next level for yourself?
Well, one of the main things we're trying to highlight the heritage of New Mexico, right? And we have 3 cultures in New Mexico: Spanish, Mexican, and Native, right? And those ingredients are the ones that we're trying to put in our menu. And so, like you said, we don't want to change that New Mexican, our red chili, green chili that we put in our plates. But, incorporating what our ancestors left us here, that's what makes it so unique. And that's what makes Mulas unique.
Yeah, and with that, so if Mulas, people see it, you guys are open Wednesday through Sunday, 11 to 3. If it's going to be your first time going, what do you suggest people try?
Try our empanadas, breakfast empanadas. They're amazing. They're top seller. Shrimp and chicken empanadas. We have chicken skewers wrapped in jamón serrano, and our seared asparagus wrapped in jamón serrano also. We got an amazing green chili jam that we put in our empanadas.
Sounds great.
Very good.
It sounds awesome. Of course, the sweet deal this morning goes live at 9 a.m. for just $30. You get $60 worth of Mulas. Where are you guys located?
We're located in the heart of Corrales, just across the Ex Novo Brewery.
Okay.
So it used to be the old Corrales Bistro. And 4908 Corrales Road. Visit us.
Yeah, it sounds great. It sounds like, it's an awesome spot. Always fun to go down the Corrales, get yourself some great food. Of course, you guys also have full wine and spirit bar. So it's going to be the ultimate experience when we got to Mulas.
Correct.
Great. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming in for our sweet deal today. Again, it goes live at 9 a.m. For just $30, you get $60 at Mula. Head over to sportsanimalabq.com. We got Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, coming up next here on The Sports Animal.
This report is brought to you by Malloy Los Lunas.
It's time for Ram Truck Month at Malloy Ram and Los Lunas. It's the month to save up to $11,000.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi, my name is Ruben, and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. Go to nmfafsa.org. That's nmfafsa.org.
Got shots? Got shots? Got shots?
During Got Shots, participating providers open their doors for any child who presents for immunizations, regardless of whether they are a patient or whether they have insurance.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You remember the day he poured in 63 points? The night he played a sold-out concert to 30,000 people. The day he gave his infamous speech. That's why you believe in heroes. That's why you remember and collect their memorabilia. All in autographs, where you can meet some of the greats, collect some of the greats, and share your own legacy. Visit All In Autographs, where you can celebrate the great and have your own piece of history.
From the Sandia foothills to the banks of the Rio Grande, generations of families remain. For 5 generations, Gallus Chevrolet has handed down values written in stone, leading the way under sun-filled skies, past the vintage glow of Route 66. Built by generations past, built for generations to come. This is New Mexico. This is Gallus.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. For over 4 decades, our law firm has remained steadfast in our commitment to serving the remarkable people of New Mexico that have been injured through no fault of their own. I'm a New Mexican fighting for New Mexicans. I received my bachelor's degree at NMSU and earned my law degree at UNM. I can proudly say I'm both an Aggie and a Lobo. Call now and I will meet with you. 40 years strong, and we're still as local as red and green.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Blue Bell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Hi, my name is Ruben, and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. Go to nmfasfa.org.
For us, because we got the victory. Lobo made a fall at Boise State. And, I just want to start there in the Mountain West Conference. I know I saw Boise State creeping up. They're now in the first 4 out. Lobo's still on that 8 line. But let's start with that win for Boise State.
Yeah, it was big for them because, that's really the kind of thing that they were missing. They didn't have, anything resembling a signature win, and I don't know that New Mexico qualifies as that, but it's the best that they can do in the league. And so, that's a nice plus for them. They also have St. Mary's and Clemson. Clemson is a borderline top 25 team in the bracket. So, those are good wins. They need them because they have a couple bad losses. The Washington State losses, quad 3, and the Boston College losses, quad 4. So, and numerous losses. They're below 500 against quad 1 and 2. So there's still work to be done here. But that New Mexico game's a start. They get Utah State at home as well. But the other games are important too. I mean, I think if Boise State's going to make a run at an at-large bid, they pretty much need to win out because that gives them the win over Utah State. So another nice win. And then all the other games are games that can hurt them. So they can't really afford it to take any more losses to teams that can hurt them.
Yeah, and when we were discussing New Mexico throughout the season and their potential ceiling when it comes to seeding, it was just they just have to win almost everything that's in front of them. You still have them as an 8 right now. It'd be an 8-9 matchup, UNM and Gonzaga in Raleigh. And do you think it's not necessarily a bad loss at Boise State, but is that really where you're seeing kind of the ceiling for some of these teams in the Mountain West is really that 8 or 9 line?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think any of these teams are going to be considered top 25 teams, and number 25 is a 7. Yeah. So are the 3 teams below that. So, they could, they could move up a little bit, I think, but even if they win the conference tournament, it's hard to see them any higher than a 7.
Yeah, and you look at what you have too. A big one tomorrow, San Diego State at Utah State. Utah State at 9 in your latest bracket playing Creighton. San Diego State at 9 playing Baylor, and that's another huge one for the Mountain West tomorrow.
Yeah, it's San Diego State. I'm sorry, is playing Utah State. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's big for San Diego State. It's really big for both of them, but San Diego State needs it more because they're further down the bracket. But San Diego State, they've had a nice season. They picked up some good wins outside the league, which has really helped them stick around a little bit. It's those 3. I took New Mexico State and Utah State off the bubble. San Diego State is there primarily because of the loss to UNLV, but they beat Houston. And that's a really good win. They have Creighton, which is another team in that same part of the bracket, and Boise's trying to push their way on. So the Colorado State loss, the UNLV loss, those kind of hurt. And they got, 3 of their next 4 on the road, and one of those is UNLV, who already beat them. So, this is a tough part of the schedule for them. If they can navigate it pretty well, they might find themselves in a relatively comfortable position when the conference tournament starts.
Yeah, it's a really interesting stretch for these teams because, tomorrow we were talking, San Diego State at Utah State, then the Lobos are at San Diego State on Tuesday night. So a big stretch for the top 3 teams in the Mountain West Conference. Talking with Jerry Palm, CBS Sports. His latest bracket is up this morning on CBSSports.com. And there's some big games this weekend. We're looking at potentially moving some lines. Tennessee at A&M. What do you make of that contest?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great game. A&M is tough at home. Everybody is. When you're at that part of the bracket, all those teams are hard to beat on their home floor. A&M kind of needs it. They had, a little bit of trouble when Wade Taylor IV was out. It's not like they lost a bunch of games, but I think they took at least one loss they probably shouldn't have when he was out, or probably wouldn't have because he was out. So, they're trying to hang in there, but the committee really liked him. They put him 6th overall, 5th among SEC teams, but 6th overall. So the winner of this game may have a chance to jump up to the top line, depending on what those teams do. Alabama's, I forget who they're playing, but I remember thinking it was another difficult game.
They host Kentucky.
Huh?
Alabama hosts Kentucky tomorrow.
Yeah, Kentucky, right. That's it. So, that's another tough game. They're probably one loss from coming off that line. If Duke were to lose to Illinois, there's a chance for some shuffling at the top of the bracket this weekend because of and I think Houston's got Iowa State too. So, and that's a 2 versus a 3. So that's at the top of the bracket's got a lot of interplay going on this weekend. And I guess you expect that with 5 SEC teams, you're going to have probably a game between 2 of them in any given set of, window. But it's you could see some real shuffling around maybe at the top of the bracket this weekend.
Yeah, Jerry Palm, CBS Sports with us. We got Michigan State tonight, and another Big Ten one that's really interesting. Oregon at Wisconsin. Wisconsin, one of those teams on the 2 line, and they can score now this season.
Yeah, well, Wisconsin's making some moves, that's for sure. John Tanji is having a tremendous season and has been playing especially well lately. Lit up Purdue at Mackey Arena, and when Wisconsin shot 72% in the second half of that game. But yeah, he's having an All-America type of year, and maybe Big Ten Player of the Year kind of year. So it's and he's really carrying that team, but they've got other guys too. So yeah, Wisconsin's the hot team in the Big Ten right now. They're not in first. I think, in fact, they might even be in fourth. They have 4 conference losses. Michigan's in first, but Michigan State, Purdue, still hanging around despite a 3-game losing streak. So the top of the Big Ten's a lot of fun this year, but no number 1 seed candidate this time.
Yeah. And Jerry, you look at Big 12 country, and BYU absolutely blitzed Kansas. And
oh my gosh,
the other day in Kansas 6 seed in your latest bracket, BYU a 10 seed, but BYU at Arizona tomorrow, another good game.
Yeah, they got to continue the momentum. It's funny. I actually saw them in Cincinnati. And, they got rocked in the second half of that game. It really didn't look very good at all. And I'm thinking, oh, gosh, they're going to have to really get hot if they're going to try and make the NCAA tournament. Well, they've been getting hot. What they did to Kansas, oh, my gosh. There's something wrong with Kansas, though, too. It's just this is a preseason number 1 team. That's the worst loss ever suffered by a team that was a preseason number 1. I think it's the worst loss Kansas has suffered under Bill Self, too. So, something is just not right with that team. They lost didn't they lose to Utah? No, they beat Utah, but it was tougher game than it should have been. Yeah, Kansas is just not right. I don't know if it's the chemistry thing, but this is 2 years in a row where Kansas has been hard to figure out and hasn't really played to the level of their talent.
Speaking of the level of their talent, and the Lobos played them in a non-conference game. It was St. John's. And Sunday, UConn at St. John's. And, man, what Rick Pitino has going right now is really good.
Oh, yeah. It's been terrific. It's one of the better stories in college basketball this year. And I don't know, it took me a while, at least in terms of the bracket, to warm up to him, because until February, they hadn't beaten anybody, but they were 20-something and 3, 20-3. And then they beat Marquette February 4th, and then they won at UConn the next game, and now they beat Creighton at home last week. So, now they've beaten the other 3 good teams in the league, and they still have to play UConn and Marquette again, and they're at UConn this week?
They're hosting UConn.
No, UConn's at home. They're at Marquette in the season finale. So, yeah, but it's been a great story. They've played their way up the bracket. They did not play a great non-conference schedule, so I don't know if they're playing for a super high seed. I don't think a 2's in play, but they could be a 3 if they were to win out and win the Big East regular season and conference tournament titles. And they're going to play, of course, at Madison Square Garden, with their home floor, although it won't count as such in the net, but for the conference tournament. But it's what a great story and a great turnaround for that program. And I guess leave it to Rick Pitino. He might be in his 70s, but he obviously hasn't lost his touch.
Jerry, you got the Bubble Watch columns. You're doing brackets. When does your brackets come out now?
The bracket's actually up this morning. I haven't written a column yet, but the bracket's actually posted this morning. So what you're seeing is just today.
Yes.
And Bubble Watch is just about every day. We won't have a column. I don't think there's any bubble games tonight, but I'll write a column today for Saturday. So, and that'll probably go up today. If it doesn't go up today, it'll be Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So Bubble Watch, there's several bubble games on Saturday, to say the least, because pretty much everybody plays on Saturday.
Yeah, a lot of great games this weekend. Updated brackets, Bubble Watch. Check them out. Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com. Appreciate the flexibility this week, man. Can't wait to talk to you next week. Have a great weekend.
All right, thanks. You too.
Yep, that's Jerry Palm at CBSSports.com. Updated bracket, and really the Mountain West Conference 8 and 9. Those are the lines you're looking at. What could the Lobos get to? What could the Mountain West have in the NCAA tournament? We'll dive into the bracket. More coming up next. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored by Rapid.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
Got shots? Got shots? Got shots?
During Got Shots, participating providers open their doors for any child who presents for immunizations, regardless of whether they are a patient or whether they have insurance.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. For over 4 decades, our law firm has remained steadfast in our commitment to serving the remarkable people of New Mexico that have been injured through no fault of their own. I'm a New Mexican fighting for New Mexicans. I received my bachelor's degree at NMSU and earned my law degree at UNM. I can proudly say I'm both an Aggie and a Lobo. Call now and I will meet with you. 40 years strong, and we're still as local as red and green.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. Our law firm was founded by my father, Thibaut J. Chavez, with one goal: to get New Mexicans the help they need. That's why we built a different kind of law firm. We focus on family values, dedicated service, and we make a real contribution by giving back to our communities. We can't change what happened to you or your loved ones, but we can help you get back on the road to recovery. We're by your side, and we're still as local as red and green.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You remember the day he poured in 63 points? The night he played a sold-out concert to 30,000 people. The day he gave his infamous speech. That's why you believe in heroes. That's why you remember and collect their memorabilia. All in Autographs, where you can meet some of the greats, collect some of the greats, and share your own legacy. Visit All In Autographs, where you can celebrate the great and have your own piece of history.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. For over 4 decades, our law firm has remained steadfast in our commitment to serving the remarkable people of New Mexico that have been injured through no fault of their own. I'm a New Mexican fighting for New Mexicans. I received my bachelor's degree at NMSU and earned my law degree at UNM. I can proudly say I'm both an Aggie and a Lobo. Call now and I will meet with you. 40 years strong, and we're still as local as red and green.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. For over 4 decades, our law firm has remained steadfast in our commitment to serving the remarkable people of New Mexico that have been injured through no fault of their own. I'm a New Mexican fighting for New Mexicans. I received my bachelor's degree at NMSU and earned my law degree at UNM. I can proudly say I'm both an Aggie and a Lobo.
Big 12.
We got some great college basketball for you this weekend. We got women's basketball tomorrow. Lobos in Utah State Senior Day. Come on out and support the NA Cumber and Maya Moreland. We'll just do a key 2 o'clock tip-off at the pit with Lobo women's basketball. That's tomorrow, right? That's the 22nd. I think it's 22nd. It says 23rd on the sheet. I'm like questioning myself. I'm like, wait a second. The schedule we have doesn't quite match up with the schedule that was put out. We'll double check that. I believe it's tomorrow. Lobo women's basketball Senior Day against Utah State. And a whole lot of action this weekend. Just talk with Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com. So the Lobos in the updated bracket this morning from Jerry Palmer, an 8th seed still. He has them in the 8-9 matchup. So New Mexico versus Gonzaga and Raleigh. In the West region, it would play Florida or Bryant. So he has 16 seed, has won 2 games so far in NCAA tournament, but it has him opposite Florida. Utah State is a 9 seed playing Creighton and Lexington opposite Auburn in the South region, and he had the Aztecs as a 9 seed playing Baylor in the East. That would be in Raleigh as well, opposite Duke and a play-in team in the 16 seed line. I think right now for the Mountain West, that's what you're looking at. If one of these teams, and really right now it's just Utah State or New Mexico, could get hot and somehow, some way wins out and wins a conference title, then probably you're looking at a 7th seed at that point in time. So the Lobos, to get out the 8-9 game, you got to win at San Diego State, and you got to put together a big run to finish the season. It's just the way it is resume-wise right now. And it's still looking like 3 teams will find their way in tomorrow night. San Diego State at Utah State. So the Aztecs kind of got a win game for them. Now, it would be kind of the last game Utah State could really lose in this, because Utah State's 13-3 in conference, 23-4 overall. The Aztecs 11-4, 18-6. And San Diego State has that big non-conference win over Houston. Talking with Jerry Palm about that and why they are still where they are in the bracket. And Jerry did say, as of now, Utah State, New Mexico off the bubble. So they're not one of those teams that would necessarily be last 4 in. However, for the Lobos, when you look at this stretch, you have on the schedule, your last chance for, Nevada's, the numbers are still pretty good. So when you go to Reno March 4th, that has the potential to be a quad 1 opportunity for you
So I wouldn't say it's their last big game, but, San Diego State is definitely marquee compared to what Nevada is, even if the number is still pretty good for Nevada. But you have 2 road games, 2 home games for the Lobos at San Diego State. Then they host Air Force the first at Nevada. And the final regular season game is at home March 7th against UNLV. And you're in a position where it's right there in front of you. You've done the work. The Lobos have put together a solid resume with what they've had to work with this season, a non-conference schedule, what the Mountain West has become this season. And you really hope that this few days heal up the foot. It's just a giant unknown. It's so hard to talk about what ifs, what could be, when you don't know the status of Mustafa Amzu, who's missed 3 of the last 4 games, dealing with the plantar fasciitis in his foot. But you need him out there on the floor, especially against San Diego State, because that's the game the Lobos, they need to win at the rim, and defensively they need to disrupt San Diego State, because the Aztecs, we know how hot and cold they can be offensively. It's pretty much been the MO of that team. Even the teams that have gone to the national championship, there's still times you watch them and go, oof, they can be rough offensively, and the Lobos have to lean into that defense. You need that length. You would love to have Mustafa Amzil inside, take a little pressure off Jovan, which these minutes are going to be huge, this experience for him and what he is getting at this point in the season for the Lobos. But to go in there, if you can get Mustafa back on the floor and manageable minutes with him where he's able to be effective with that foot, bring Jovan off the bench, get CJ Noland healthy. It's what you want to see when you have a tough game coming up Tuesday in San Diego. But we'll also see how the Aztecs perform, as they'll be on the road in Logan tomorrow night. The Mountain West schedule tomorrow: Fresno State at Air Force, San Jose State at Wyoming, Boise State at Nevada, the Aztecs at, of course, Utah State, and CSU at UNLV. And Colorado State's 11-4, but they're not sniffing around the bubble like Boise State is. Now, Boise State, with that win, they jumped onto the first 4 out for Jerry Palm in his updated bracket this morning. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line. You can share your thoughts on this little mini bye for the Lobos, what you want to see from them at San Diego State on Tuesday night, just trying to get healthy from the flu and the foot injuries to try to get back on track against the Aztecs. We should hear from Kenny Thomas, the Lobo legend, NBA veteran, coming up next right here on the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. For over 20 years, Evergard Roofing and Solar has been committed to customer service. Locally owned and operated, Evergard offers both commercial and residential roofing and solar services. For more info, please call 505-821-9543. Evergard Roofing and Solar are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
I might not be in the cage as much anymore. Just like riding a bicycle, I can pick up the fight from where I left off. I'm not some slick-haired outsider posing with borrowed gloves. I grew up here. New Mexico is in my blood. I'm a New Mexican fighting for other New Mexicans. I'm Adam Oki. I'll be your champion in the courtroom.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You remember the day he poured in 63 points? The night he played a sold-out
The Sports Animal. Now it's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610. The Sports Animal. Here's Jeff Symbieta and JJ Buck.
Well, you got one of us this morning. JJ Buck, Zay Johnson with you. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM and 610, The Sports Animal. We were lacking star power. We needed the boost. And thankfully, we've hit 9 a.m. on a Friday. That means it's time to kick it with KT. Katie Thomas, the Lobo legend, NBA veteran, joins us this morning on the opening drive. What's up, man? How you doing?
Man, I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Just,
Hey, I appreciate you having me.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you, man. Late one, I know, against Boise. You guys on the call-in show trying to react to everything. And we were discussing it even with the pro teams the other day, right? Sometimes you just get got. And was there a little bit of that with the Lobos? You know, they're still down to Amzil, CJ Nolan under the weather, and it's just kind of one of those games that just gets away from you.
Man, sometimes you said it perfectly right there at the end, JJ. Sometimes this games just get away from you. And you got to keep in mind, the way that the Lobos destroyed Boise State at home, I think it was like 86 to like 65 or something like that. You had to figure Boise State was going to come out with a whole different mindset. And the fact that Boise State is 11, before they played the Lobos, they were 11-1 at home. So that's solidifying home court. They're right there in the same realm when it comes to the way that the Lobos are playing at home, right? So I don't. When I started my show after the game, I was like, right away, man, let's not jump the gun. These things do happen. They look tired. You had Amzil that was out, a key component, right? And then you have Jovan that I don't think he scored a single point. So those results are not realistic. I don't see the Lobos going down a bad path right now at all. So let's just chill out there right now.
I'm right there with you. But look at this stretch, Jovan having to step up. What can that do for just a freshman in his development, having these opportunities and just that kind of experience in his freshman season?
Once again, JJ, you hit it again. You said experience, right? This is giving him an opportunity to be like, hey, okay, I had a bad game. I have good games as well. So it's a matter how he's going to bounce back and learning how to adjust from that. Everybody doesn't have good games. I had bad games. They just happen. But you got to also keep in mind that the Lobos are on an eight-game winning streak right now. So, I feel like everything is on all cylinders right now. Just things just happen. And the key thing you said is talking about, it's like the NBA. Some good teams in the NBA, they just lose. You just can't make a bucket. So.
Yeah, and you look at that game, too, and what Boise State did to the Lobos in the second half is what New Mexico was doing to teams. Taking control of the game, putting teams on their heels, forcing the opponents to foul. I know Rich Pitino kind of talked about it. The Lobos got on their heels. They got a little bit sloppy defensively, fouling people. Because you look at Dagenhart, man, 13 of 15 at the free throw line, almost half of his 32 points in that game came at the free throw line.
Yeah, and I think they shot like 10 or more free throws. I can't remember what it was. I think it was it might be about 13 to 15 more free throws than the Lobos, and that's usually the other way around. And the way that Devin Hart, I think I said that right, Devin Hart, the way that he came out and he played, the energy was there. I just felt like he also made a comment at halftime about playing Lobo basketball, getting up and down, because I think Boise State is more of a half-court team. So, but they were able to shoot and execute when they actually tried to do the same thing that the Lobos do, right, which is to get out and run. But, hey, man, they got another one coming up with San Diego State on Tuesday, and it's going to be on the road. This is going to be another test to see how the Lobos can adjust and adapt, especially coming off of a road win and then having to go back on the road.
Yeah, and we don't know about Mustafa Amzil and just how that foot's going to be. You hope he can find a way to be on the floor, because I think with losing Mustafa, it's not just the potential shooting-wise, but having Mustafa on the floor with Nelly, with Phillip, gives the Lobos that added length, and that's what has been really good for them. Defensively, I know we don't talk about him a lot, but just his presence on the floor, not having Mustafa there, what do you see? What does that do to this team defensively?
As far as which player?
With Amzil not being available. I know we don't talk about him a lot, but his length does matter.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if Amzil's not available, he's a huge cornerstone when it comes to this Lobo team. You might not believe me because people think he's not knocking down threes. There's other things that he brings to the table. He's a fifth-year senior. He can spread the floor. He can play inside. He can put the ball on the floor. He's very dimensional, right, in multiple ways. He's long. He brings a whole different element to the game. But the fact of the matter is you have Phillip, who's kind of a similar player to Amzil, but he's still learning and he's still getting better. And then, Jovan, same thing. So I think if Amzil can't go, obviously he's going to be a huge miss. But they don't play till Tuesday, man. So he has plenty of time to rest. That foot is not fully going to heal until probably after the season. And he doesn't have time for that. So it's just a matter of maintenance. Keep doing maintenance on that foot and keep trying to figure out how he can get better, because I'm pretty sure that plantar fasciitis can be it could feel like a knife is inside your foot a little bit, like it's stabbing you. So I mean, if he wasn't able to go, I mean, it was for a good reason. So he needs to rest.
Kenny Thomas with us here on the opening drive. KT, this team, you said it, they won 8 in a row before that loss against Boise State. And I think one of the things we've seen all season long is the mindset, the effort. It's been there for this team. If they've had a bad moment, whether it was the New Mexico State game or the San Jose State loss, they've been able to respond. And when you come off a game like that, where you get got, what is the focus of the team? Because I don't have I'm not questioning this team's focus, right? I believe in them. And is it as simple as it's just one of those games that it got away and we really don't need to be worrying about this team right now when it comes to their focus or effort?
Man, Pitino's doing his job.
Yeah.
Pitino's doing an amazing job in that coaching staff, because when the Lobos have only lost 5 games after the Boise State game, it's 5 now. So the fact that they're able to bounce back after a loss, when you bring up New Mexico State and San Jose State, those are detrimental losses. So the fact that they were able to bounce back and still accomplish what they've accomplished, Pitino's doing a phenomenal job. I feel like the focus is there. But once again, man, it's just one of those games. It just happens. It just does. These kids are human.
Yeah,
just keep that in mind.
Yeah, man, it's still the ebbs and flows of a season. So when you look at them getting a chance to get a few days between games, they get to come back home before they have to go out to San Diego. What do you think is the biggest thing you want to see from the Lobos early against the Aztecs?
Obviously, they're resting right now because they need it. It's going to be a dogfight up there against the Aztecs. They got a young freshman that's long, athletic. I forgot his name, but he's a beast. He's something to be reckoned with. You got their backcourt. That's pretty good. But I feel like the Lobos are overall a better team. So I feel like the Lobos are just going to have to match the energy that San Diego State comes with and not allow San Diego State to continue to hit first. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's going to – I would love to see the Lobos come out and play an unbelievable first half because we know what they do in the second half.
Kenny Thomas with us here on the opening drive. We're going to take this break, come back on the other side. KT, so much more to get to with him when it comes to the second half of the NBA season, Lobo basketball, and more. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Saturday in Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA basketball. The race for the SEC's top spot is heat.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi, my name is Ruben, and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. Go to nmfafsa.org. That's nmfafsa.org.
Right here for the Siegler Cougars as that one is denied. Off the front iron, rebound, Diabate. Another chance for Adams, and he hits it.
Trying to thread the needle and he threw it away. That's an unforced error. Here comes the game. And Asilian makes up for the mistake.
Entirely new crew out here. Next time we get a whistle, Adams scores again. Adams gets the put back and he puts it right back again.
What a beautiful bounce of it. Oli Uyero stepped by a defender for the layup. Another dime from inside, another dunk, two-hand slam. Bounce pass, stolen away, fast hands, Bramlett gives it to Butler, dunked it. Stone, one hand, dunk for Peters. Reno lob upstairs to the elevator. An inbound play. Oates catch. Oh, block Butler. Huge. Diabate.
They've got a good shot up now. They got a good shot.
Harris, 12 seconds left. Poked away.
Oh.
Butler. Here comes the money. No. Yes.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Blue Bell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub. official sandwich of ProView Networks.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
From the Sandia foothills to the banks of the Rio Grande, generations of families remain. For 5 generations, Gallus Chevrolet has handed down values written in stone, leading the way under sun-filled skies, past the vintage glow of Route 66. Built by generations past, built for generations to come. This is New Mexico. This is Gallus.
Hi, my name is Ruben, and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports.
So much going on right now. Of course, the wine is popping, and you got a lot of other projects that you're doing right now.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate you, JJ. My wine is actually in the pit on the Sweet Levels. If you want to check it out, it's on the menu, Kenny Thomas Wines. I'm in Albertsons, and I'm probably about half of those in the state. I got to give a shout-out to Southern Wine Spirits, Southern Glaciers. They've taken care of me so much, and they've helped and supported me so much, so thank you. If you want to carry my product, I have 4 different SKUs. I have 2 reds, 2 whites right now, and I'm expanding. If you want to carry it, just reach out to your rep. That's with Southern, and they can get you taken care of. And then if you want me to show up and do an appearance, I'll do that as well. The Landing, which is 1409 Woodward Road, I think it's like right there by the airport. They carry my wine. Yeah, man, I'm actually out here in Manhattan Beach right now. We just filmed, me and Dr. Catherine Grill, who's the mental health lady that I work with, we just filmed some more video series for the Department of Health that's going to be coming out probably in August. So, yeah, man. And at the same time, I partnered up with the county to where me and Dr. Grill, we go live every second and fourth Thursday of every month at 11:30 Mountain Standard Time to talk about some of the resources and tools that the county has. We just did the 988 mobile clinics that they have, and we're going to be doing some more things with them as well, as far as going into those clinics and bringing awareness for the kids. And these clinics are at 4 schools right now, and the county's looking at expanding them. And at the same time, these clinics are going to be a resource for parents as well to be able to go. I didn't know that you can actually go in these clinics and you can actually get a physical for your sport as well. So, yeah.
That's good stuff, man. And all of it at Kenny Thomas NBA. You can find him on the social media platforms. And a good chance, for everyone around Lobo basketball to reset this weekend before you got that late night Tuesday against
right?
San Diego State, the Aztecs. But we know we'll be able to get to that one Tuesday morning. I'm going to get your thoughts. We've had a kind of a week to digest everything when it comes to the NBA and the NBA All-Star game. We saw the 4 nations, the hockey tournament. That was awesome. Canada, United States last night. Canada wins in overtime. But that's not something you can do every single year. And when you look at the NBA, whether it's money to the players, and you've talked about that at times, I guess at some point it's how do you get them interested in the All-Star weekend, knowing that, hey, you want to highlight your product, you want it to be fun, entertaining, but also understand it's not going to be Game 7 of like the Eastern Conference Finals or something like that. Kind of maybe find that happy medium moving forward. Is that more just on the players, though, to buy in moving forward?
Well, let's start here. Each one of those players has something in their contract. If they make the All-Star team, they get a bonus, okay? So if they're there, they're getting a bonus. Trust me, I was on the NBA ballot like half. of my career out of the 11. It's just one of those things to where, hey, it's you want time off, but it's entertaining that weekend, right? I don't think I saw an empty seat there as far as the fans and people coming. I think with the viewership, with the NBA being down, I think they're just trying to figure out ways to bring people back and get people to view, right, the game. When you have football, like you brought up, JJ, coming in on Christmas and different things like that, it's changing the whole dynamic to where, hey, Silver, he has to figure out what he's going to do next when it comes to the NBA. And there's some opportunities to go overseas, too. So I feel like those guys need to just go and have a good time. And people can't expect, I totally agree with you, people can't expect them to play that hard. But I actually like the new format, to be honest, because it's keeping it exciting. And guys are playing a little bit harder, but you don't want those guys to get hurt.
Yeah, it's got to be a balance. It's got to be understanding from the fans. Ultimately, it's an all-star game. Like, why are we complaining so much about an all-star game? But if you're going to play something, you at least want a little bit of a competitive, fun product. And I think they can do that with this style. But now we look ahead to the second half of the season. Unfortunate news coming out of San Antonio, man. Wemby with that blood clot shutdown for the rest of the year. They were really hoping to build something, just acquiring De'Aaron Fox, and now you just hope that it's something they can figure out so we can get back on the court next year.
Yeah, no, that's the part that sucks because De'Aaron Fox just got traded there. I feel like San Antonio is a young, good group of guys. You got Castle over there that was at the All-Star game. But you got to think about it. This is February. February is basically over in the next, 5-6 days, right? So, and then March is here, and then the regular season's over in April. So he got to take care of himself. This is a longer picture for him, especially with him being 19 years old. But he's going to be a very, very, very dynamic player in the league. And so, yeah. The Spurs are building anyway, JJ. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, they were a team that, if they could have probably caused some trouble if they would have climbed their way into that play-in tournament. But they still won last night. They beat the Suns without Wemby. And you look at the Western Conference, and the Warriors are a team at 10th right now. You expect maybe they can make a move with Jimmy Butler there. Then you look at the Lakers, right? And the Lakers, the talk now is who finishes the game. The other night, it was LeBron James taking the last shots, and Lucas said, hey, we're going to rotate between each other. As these guys grow together on the floor, what are you expecting to see from them the rest of the season?
I think LeBron just had a 40-piece last night, too, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
It's Luka's 25, man, and the fact that he's taking a seat back, kind of, LeBron's always going to be LeBron. If he's on the floor, I feel like he might be the guy that might end up taking a shot. But you got to understand the way Luka explained it. It depends on the flow of the game, like who's balling, like to a certain extent, like who has the hot hand. I think it's going to come down to that right now because I don't think Luka is going to have a problem taking a seat back if it is LeBron, the one that's supposed to be taking a shot in that moment.
Yeah, and that's Lakers right now in 5th spot, just 2.5 games in front of the Clippers. And it's going to be interesting now because you get to this point in the season. You've talked about it a lot, Kenny. You lived this life in the NBA. You start getting guys kind of locking back in, and that stretch run gets a little bit tighter. Games get a little bit different.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Especially after All-Star Weekend, this is when that big push comes in. I don't want to say people kind of coast the first third of the NBA, but they do to a certain extent. And usually the good teams continue to win. And then you have the teams that get upset that are still good because they end up losing, right? But the way the whole different dynamic is right now with the NBA, it's kind of a flip of a coin to a certain extent. You talk about the Warriors, right? Like, I don't know if the Warriors are actually that team. That's just my opinion. Because are they big enough? It's different between having a KD and having a Jimmy Butler, right? So, and you got Draymond guaranteeing they go win a championship too, right? So, it's going to be interesting. You got to keep in mind that the Sacramento Kings are right there too. I think they're like in 8 or 9 in front of the Warriors, I think, right now. So the Western Conference is going to be a crazy mix, especially when it comes down the stretch right now, because it's a whole different season right now. And then when come April, obviously it's a new season because of the postseason.
It's going to be a lot of fun down the stretch, but of course, Lobo basketball, all eyes on the Lobos. So Tuesday night after the contest, Lobo Live with Kenny Thomas over on News Radio KKOB. Enjoy the time, man, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Man, I appreciate you guys. Isaiah, you guys have a good one.
Yes, sir. Peace out, Kenny.
Kenny Thomas with us on the opening drive. He's back with us Tuesday morning, and it will be game day in, Cali, but game day for the Lobos against the Aztecs Tuesday night. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Saturday on Compass.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You remember the day he poured in 63 points? The night he played a sold-out concert to 30,000 people. The day he gave his infamous speech. That's why you believe in heroes. That's why you remember and collect their memorabilia. All in Autographs, where you can meet some of the greats, collect some of the greats, and share your own legacy. Visit All In Autographs, where you can celebrate the great and have your own piece of history.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. For over 4 decades, our law firm has remained steadfast in our commitment to serving the remarkable people of New Mexico that have been injured through no fault of their own. I'm a New Mexican fighting for New Mexicans. I received my bachelor's degree at NMSU and earned my law degree at UNM. I can proudly say I'm both an Aggie and a Lobo. Call now and I will meet with you. 40 years strong, and we're still as local as red and green.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Bluebell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. For over 20 years, Evergard Roofing and Solar has been committed to customer service. Locally owned and operated, Evergard offers both commercial and residential roofing and solar services. For more info, please call 505-821-9543. Evergard Roofing and Solar are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
I might not be in the cage as much anymore. Just like riding a bicycle, I can pick up the fight from where I left off. I'm not.
This was Texas Tech fired their coach the year before Cumber was going to go to Texas Tech, and so she commits to University of New Mexico. Battled knee injuries in high school early on her freshman season, only had played 18 games, and then all V has done is now become just the fourth Lobo all time to make 200-plus three-point shots.
Wow.
She was the 27th member of the 1,000-point club.
Mm-hmm.
And she's ninth in single season made threes, 73. San Jose State did a really good job Wednesday night, taking her out of the game. But she still moved the basketball, rebounded the basketball, and she's now 8 3-point makes away from tying Latacia Duff for number one all-time in three-point makes. So she's chasing a record down the stretch. 4 games remaining. Lobos host Utah State tomorrow, and then we're on the road. It's a long one next week. We're at Wyoming Wednesday, at Fresno State on Saturday, and come back to play Air Force, wrap up the regular season. So get on out there tomorrow. Those team deserves your support. The seniors, that's one of the ones where I know there's frustration. You're a fan. You want to see more from this team. I get it. I understand it, especially when they were second place last year in the Mountain West, but they're still playing for 3 or 4. I think Colorado State has pulled away enough. They beat Fresno State the other night. UNLV is going to win the regular season title, but there's still an opportunity to get to 3 or 4 in terms of seeding when it comes to Las Vegas. But ultimately, just show up for the seniors, especially Cumber. And so many people scream all the time about local talent, local players, or I'd go watch more games if this, that, or whatever. Well, you have one in Vianney Cumber, who is phenomenal, who is a fantastic role model on and off the court for young athletes all across the state of New Mexico. So show up and show out. 2 p.m. tomorrow in the pit for the seniors, Lobo women, taking on Utah State. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck on with Zay Johnson, Adrian holding it down on ProView Networks. And as we get ready to really fully dive in to the second half of the NBA season, 4 nations face off last night. I'm ready to put the All-Star talk behind us. I understand that the NBA has a lot of questions that they need to answer. I don't necessarily think that fixing the All-Star game fixes the NBA, but what it did, it kind of highlights what people feel is wrong with the game. Players not caring, players not playing hard, the style of play. So I do understand that. But when it comes to the NBA, you still have the best of the best playing in this league. The best players from all around the world, the best players in the United States play in the NBA. They play high-level basketball. And do you think this is something that is kind of boiled over and it was easy to look at the All-Star game and say that's wrong with basketball? Or do you think that this is going to be something that the NBA does need to address? I don't know how you need to address it. Like, do you tell players, and I know you brought it up the other day, do you limit the numbers of threes you can shoot in a game? Like, some nights are going to be bad. It's going to happen. There's like global basketball the other night. It was bad, right? But do we need to change the way the game is played, or is it just a mindset, the way the game is sold to the fans, the way the game is discussed to the fans? How do you think basketball finds its footing again?
I was giving this some thought after the show yesterday, and I just came to the conclusion, I know I kind of made a note of this a couple of days ago, but I feel like it's not a good idea to try and strong-arm the players into playing a certain way. When you look over the history of the NBA, there's eras for a reason. Like, yes, different, there's different eras of players, but there's definitely different eras of like play style and what was popular and what worked. And the sport naturally is going to evolve. So right now, there's some people who love all the threes. They love the scoring. There's some people who don't like it. What I can say is, like, this is not the first time the league has noticed a jump in play style. I'm pretty sure Mike D'Antoni was the cause of it the first time with, like, the Steve Nash.
When they were, like, 9 seconds or less, they were running.
Yeah, and they're doing that in a league that was still a high-scoring game, was 110 to 102. Like, that was still considered somewhat of a high-scoring game when Mike D'Antoni was doing that. So what I think is going to happen is, I don't know which player it'll be, but naturally, as time goes on and different stars emerge, their play styles will reflect. And not everybody's going to be a Steph Curry. So sooner than later, the play style will change. Just like in the NFL, running the football, before you know it, all of a sudden it's back, like becoming a big deal. In the NBA, I think eventually it'll evolve and we'll get past this 53s a game play style, because at some point, a team's going to come across with a more efficient way to win, and it won't be putting up a bunch of threes. And then it's going to be a copycat league. Another team's going to say, okay, let's try that method. Like, let's maybe go back to how the 90s teams played, because that team just won the championship playing like it was the 90s. So that's the only hope, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and I think some of it, too, is just resetting expectations. Like, the NBA regular season is long, just like Major League Baseball or hockey, right? It's not always going to pop. So find your moments, whether it's Christmas Day, even if the NFL is playing, you still highlight that as the NBA. I think you embrace All-Star Weekend for the entertainment highlight aspect of it. And then this is a time where you should be putting together your marquee matchups. You should have rivalry week. You should be able to tweak the schedule this time of year, coming out of the All-Star break, right after football wrapped up, and then try to build from here. Because if you compare anything to the NFL, it's going to lose.
Yeah.
It's never going to be good enough. So you do what you can. I think the majority of the regular season that you play when football is going on, just focus on the markets.
Yeah.
Hope you have good attendance in your home markets. You get enough from your television package throughout the year. And then this time of year, you really start to hit it. You have your marquee games. You have some rivalry games coming out. And what does that mean? Just, traditional matchups. Lakers, Celtics, Knicks versus whoever. Things like that. And you can even maybe pit some top teams together, add some wiggle room in the schedule, and say, hey, coming out of the All-Star break, we're going to have the top 4 teams from each conference play each other. Something along those lines.
Yeah, and another theory that I kind of gave, I think, with this hockey, the emergence of the hockey, that's also kind of coming true, is yes, this is multiple countries going against each other, but I also did make the point that, look, Americans love violence, more so than a lot of other countries that I can think of. And the proof's in the pudding. Like, if you look at the sports, UFC, American football's first. It's not even really a thing in some other countries. And I think that in the hockey matches, the 3 fights in the first 5 minutes, I mean, that drew the attention of most of the non-watchers to want to come watch. They
didn't fight last night.
They didn't, but because that happened beforehand, there's like anticipation. Like, will they fight again?
I got you. I don't think it's necessarily just the straight up violence which interests you. I think just football is the physicality of it, whatever it draws you in. It's the once a week aspect of it. And then, the NBA just has to deal with it. These long regular seasons don't have as much importance. Even a college basketball season, there's even a lot more if you're a college basketball fan to grab onto in the regular season when you're talking about NCAA tournament resumes, when you're talking about seeding for a conference tournament. There's still more urgency in a college basketball and football regular season than there is in the NBA and NHL and Major League Baseball. And you just have to understand that, but then find the moments to own as a sport.
Yeah. I think the NBA, if they're really geniuses, they got like choreograph like some fake fights or something. I bet if we look at
I don't know if I'm buying the fight narrative as much.
Well, so it's not really for NBA. It's not fighting, because like in hockey, fighting's already kind of allowed. NFL, it's naturally going to get rough or violent. In basketball, I think just tension. You just need a little bit of tension.
Well, and that comes in the playoffs, but you just have to get there.
It does, and I think that sometimes what you don't hear about anymore is 2 days before a game's played, this player says something to the media that's like dissing the other team or dissing the other player on the other side, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, okay, let's see if he's going to back it up or not. Let me tune in. Like Dylan Brooks, a lot of us don't like him. I don't like the way he goes about it, but he's good for the ratings. When he's got like a little beef going on with somebody, that I think that sparked the ratings. I bet if we looked at the ratings before Malice in the Palace and then right after, I bet the ratings just like doubled for like a month.
Just need Ron Artest, aka Meta World Peace, to go off on something.
Yeah, that's all.
505-246-0610. Robert, you're on the opening drive this morning. What's up, Robert?
Yeah, that was a good hockey game last night. Went into overtime. I was glad to see that Canada beat the USA for the reason that our administration is being so crazy, so ugly, so demeaning with our best neighbors. Anyway, I noticed a couple of those professional hockey players were from Arizona, so you would think that's kind of unusual to see hockey players from the southwest part of the country, but I guess it's grown. It's gotten into smaller areas, even like Albuquerque. We have that the Wolves. I should know the name of the team. Do you know the name of our team?
The Ice Wolves junior team.
There you go. Yeah, I've never been to a game there, but I do know that I go drive by there occasionally, and it seems like the parking lot is always full when it's game night. But anyway, you guys have a great day, and go Lobos.
Yeah, and the United States is a nice little spot with hockey right now.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Austin Matthews, the captain of Team USA. He's from Arizona. He's one of the best players in the NHL.
Yeah,
in the state of Arizona.
Nowadays, these kids are getting an indoor gym and a good trainer.
Yeah.
Or, join a competitive team. It's lights out from that point on.
Yeah, Connor McDavid won it in overtime last night. And that was awesome. The four nations faced off. So you had the United States, Canada, Sweden, and Finland play. And so the NHL hasn't allowed their players to play in the last couple Winter Olympics. So this is the first time since 2016 you had these star NHL players playing for their countries against each other. And it absolutely popped off. Now, the NHL will allow their players to participate in the 2026 Olympics, so this was kind of a footnote to that because, they have to pause for the Winter Olympics in their season. So they did this trial with Four Nations Face-Off. I think it's awesome. I think it should be something they do every other year. And then I would look at, all right, what other countries have enough talent to participate in it?
Yeah, that's the big thing.
To keep it interesting because the United States and Canada are always going to have that buzz. And, the political aspect to it definitely ramped up. That's why they were booing the anthems in both countries.
That's why everything happened.
And then on top of that, you got just a really good hockey game, and it was awesome. And it's something that it can't work every single year, but every other year. And then you have these players still be able to go to the Olympics. It can be really good for the sport of hockey. And can you take aspects of that? Can you take little things, like if you're the NBA, and say, all right, we want to continue with the tournament that they had, the teams playing 40, keep it competitive, keep it fun, highlight your sport. But I understand still the All-Star game is not the end-all be-all.
So what's your reason again as to why hockey can't do it every year? I mean, like I
you just can't ask. You can't ask the best players in the league every single year to take 2 weeks in the middle of the season and play their asses off.
Yeah,
which they did, but you can't ask them to do that every single year. The same group of players to do it every single year, and then by the way, go finish the second half of the season and compete in the playoffs.
I guess I just want to combine all the leagues. I know it's the Olympics. It's the Olympics, but it's 4 years is just a little too long.
So I think every other year, Four Nations face off for hockey. Figure out what you want to do for basketball, and it'd be all right. You can have some fun, find a competitive level. Definitely ramped up with the Four Nations face off because that was a lot more than just exhibition hockey that we saw going on there. 505-246-0610 is Sports Animal Hotline and text line. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com. ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
Got shots? Got shots? Got shots?
During Got Shots, participating providers open their doors for any child who presents for immunizations, regardless of whether they are a patient or whether they have insurance.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Bluebell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
I'm a Blaze King customer, and I have been for the last 10 years. Blaze King stoves are very efficient, they're easy to maintain, and they use a lot less wood than you would typically use with a fireplace.
Blaze King, that's a fire.
The heat is on when it's a Blaze King wood stove, controlling heat up to 40 hours on a single load of wood with a built-in thermostat. See for yourself at either Blaze King showroom, Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Blaze King, and now that's a fire.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi, my name is Ruben, and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. Go to nmfafsa.org. That's nmfafsa.org.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. For over 4 decades, our law firm has remained steadfast in our commitment to serving the remarkable people of New Mexico that have been injured through no fault of their own. I'm a New Mexican fighting for New Mexicans. I received my bachelor's degree at NMSU and earned my law degree at UNM. I can proudly say I'm both an Aggie and a Lobo. Call now and I will meet with you. 40 years strong, and we're still as local as red and green.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
So Jerry Palm, we talked with him this morning from CBSSports.com. He has his new bracket predictions up this morning. And the Lobos were on the 8 line. An 8-9 matchup against Gonzaga and Raleigh in the West region, opposite Florida and Bryant Gators, number 1 seed in that region. You had Utah State, a 9 seed in the South, opposite Creighton, and they would play the winner of Auburn in a 16 seed play-in game. And then the Aztecs were in the East, a 9 seed playing Baylor in Raleigh opposite Duke. So it's tough sledding. In an NCAA tournament, there's not an easy game. There's not. For the Lobos, you want to get to a point where you're in regardless. Like, you don't have to go to Vegas and win like they did last year, which no one thought that was a team that was going to be a bid stealer. But they go into Las Vegas, win 4 games in 4 days, cut down nets, and then the NCAA selection committee is like, hey, by the way, you stole a bid. What? And then you look at the Mountain West, which is not as strong this year as it was last year, but you're in a position where you have the opportunities. So pick off some wins on the road with San Diego State and Nevada. Metrics-wise, so good games to put on the resume. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line this morning. JJ Buck, Zay with you as we cruise along this Friday morning. Terry, you're on the opening drive. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good Friday, JJ. Good Friday, Isaiah. Just filling in my last segment. Hoping for the health of the Lobos. I don't think to score the game, but I just hope their players get healthy because rotation come tournament time will be important. Because even in the tournament, you'll get a couple cheap fouls or something, and who fills in and not. So, yes, I hope this feud. They got a couple days off, and I hope they get feeling better and tear it up. Kind of staring at an 8-9 seed no matter what. I thought 17-3 in the conference would have them secured, and it looks like they're going to at least do that as long as they split the 2 road games. Lighthearted moment to end the week. Isaiah sent up the bat signal of violence. Tingley used to have the hockey games for there, and my kids, I say, hey, you want to go to the hockey? And they go, they don't fight anymore. And, and when it comes out of your, 10-year-old daughter, you're like, what? They don't fight anymore. Yeah. But, maybe after her 5 national gold medals in martial arts, she kind of was like, yeah, I'm kind of into that. So, it is something different, but, we all deal with our children in different ways. But you guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Take care.
And New Mexico Scorpions used to be the thing out at Tingley Coliseum. Then they moved out to the Rio Rancho Event Center. I'm a big hockey fan. Whether the physicality, the game, the speed, whatever it may be, yeah, you can still fight in hockey some. They did a lot over the last number of years to really kind of take it out of the game, but it's still a piece to it, but it's not as large as it used to be where you did have just straight-up enforcers on every single one of these rosters, but it's an aspect of it. And I understand more so than necessarily just fighting, punching people in the face, is competitiveness, right? Effort. Guys going at each other. Playing hard, caring. Now, I think we're taking a step back, the overall picture. You should always assess your product. You should always assess your business, whatever it may be. I think we went way over the top with an all-star game this entire week. Mm-hmm. Like, it's an all-star game, guys. What are we doing here? But if you take a step back for the entire product, I think there's fair questions to ask and things that you can do throughout the way that could help raise the bar for your product, and then you can have a nice moment, still enjoy it, the All-Star game, and then take off after that for your sport in the second half. Because the NBA, it's their time, man. And then you start capitalizing. College basketball, the NBA, the NHL, this is the time, your marquee opportunity to get fans interested in your product. Second half of the season into the playoffs. March Madness doesn't need anyone to sell it. Everyone is all in. But this is a time where you need to hype up your stars. You need the good matchups. And I think that would be the biggest change for basketball, not necessarily making the All-Star game great. It's after the All-Star game having great regular season matchups where the players are playing hard, they're carrying, you're going down the stretch,
There you go.
I think caring is really that's the word. And when I say fighting, it's not because they want to see someone get knocked out. It's more of you want to see symbolism that they care, like that they truly care about this more so than, because we all know they get a paycheck. So if you see guys, willing to get in a fist fight over a call or over a loose ball, then we know they truly care about it. And with the NHL matchups, the fact that we could all understand the reason why the fights were happening, why the tension was there, we knew that they cared, which is why, although most likely the second matchup just last night wasn't going to break out in a bunch of fights, that's why that matchup still dominated the ratings, because now there's a fact and we know that the tensions were high and they truly cared about this. I think in the NBA, just like maybe we need those guys who run their mouths too much. We need those guys that make other teams dislike them. That, to me, is what always has sparked some of the ratings. I remember back when Jason Terry was asked about the Miami Heat, and this is when he played for the Celtics, and LeBron, Wade, and Bosh were all in the Heat. And he goes in an interview while the Heat were on their 20-game win streak, and he's like, I don't think they're that good. I don't see what the hype is. I think they're a regular team. And then LeBron goes into that game, has the big famous alley-oop dunk, and that was just known as the dunk because Jason Terry was running his mouth. So it's just I feel like only good things come out of players, I don't know, being a little witty to the media, taking shots, keep it respectful, but still, I think everyone's just a little too... Everyone's scared of the social media backlash right now.
Scared. You don't want to say something that's bulletin board material, but you want a little bit more of it. That's fair. And I can get behind that, but I think this is the time, though, where you have to do it. You have to understand that you're not going to make your mark. You need to just survive while the NFL is going on. The NFL is the king. The NFL dominates.
Yep.
And so find your moments, survive. Hopefully you can have some good in-market games going on, NHL, NBA, and then you get to this point, you take off. That's when you hit it. That's what you got to do, because there's a little bit of a rhythm to this sports calendar that we live in. And the rhythm right now, it's all about basketball, especially the Lobos. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. at the Pit. I hope to see you there, Lobo women, celebrating their seniors against Utah State. 2 o'clock tip-off, 1:30 pregame right here on the Sports Center. Zay, appreciate you, man. Thank you for all your hard work.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Adrian on ProView, always appreciate you. We have Colin Cowherd coming up next. Jim Rome Show at 1 o'clock. 2 men on with you at 4, everybody. Mineral, peace, and love. Have a great week.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
From the Sandia foothills to the banks of the Rio Grande, generations of families remain. For 5 generations, Gallus Chevrolet has handed down values written in stone, leading the way under sun-filled skies, past the vintage glow of Route 66. Built by generations past, built for generations to come. This is New Mexico. This is Gallus.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You remember the day he poured in 63 points? The night he played a sold-out concert to 30,000 people. The day he gave his infamous speech. That's why you believe in heroes. That's why you remember and collect their memorabilia. All in Autographs, where you can meet some of the greats, collect some of the greats, and share your own legacy. Visit All In Autographs, where you can celebrate the great and have your own piece of history.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your ProView Networks.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sports shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.